Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mic Check podcast. This is T-Word, the People's Champ. Thanks for tapping in. Today, we're going to be talking about the $85 price point of the Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia fight. I'm here with my co-host Q.
Yes,
sir. We're going to talk about it a little bit. So,
yeah.
All right, man. So, it's $85. I'm going to go ahead and throw it your way first. I know you've had some significant thoughts about pay-per-views as of late. So I want the people to hear from you first, and then I'll bring up the rear.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you realistically think about pay-per-views as a whole in boxing, we've mentioned this before, and we've talked about how I kind of believe that we should have a price scale. It shouldn't just be a set bottom line price for American pay-per-views anymore. Because boxing fights, have varying levels of interest, especially with such a small number of people within the American boxing market that consistently watch and consume, boxing fights. $85 for this fight, in my opinion, is kind of steep because realistically, the only fights I remember being this expensive were Floyd Mayweather fights. And Floyd consistently proved throughout his years of fighting the guys we wanted to see him fight, that he drew enough to warrant that kind of price point, and people were willing to pay to watch him, whether they wanted to see him lose or whether they wanted to see him win. And I think it may be a little bit questionable for them to put this fight at $85 because I don't know that even these two guys combined, when you talk about Ryan Garcia and Floyd Mayweather, have the same draw or the same appeal from a pay-per-view buying standpoint to warrant an $85 pay-per-view. I kind of expected that this fight would be somewhere around the $75 to $69.99 range, but it's kind of within what we expect now. If they're going to go ahead and have to do a co-promotional fight, unfortunately, they're going to have to raise the price, and as fans, we're the ones that take the hit on that effect, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with that part. Consumers are always going to take the brunt of when numbers change. The biggest thing that I look at is we are in a time where everything around us is costing more money. I think that a lot of times sports fans as consumers tend to be the most resistant to change. And there was a time where, there was like $25 tickets to get into football games and things like that. And now it's not uncommon to spend $110 per ticket. All right. So that being said, naturally pay-per-view is going to increase in price. There was a $35 pay-per-view era, then the $50, then the $60, and now we're into the $75. And Mayweather introduced the $100 pay-per-view, and that just wasn't going to stick for everybody. And now I think 85 is probably, if they test it and it does well in certain fights, we're going to see this $85 price point again. That being said, I do believe, in my opinion, this is what I think about pay-per-view. Let me say this. I'm going to preface my statement with this. The people that buy pay-per-views are going to buy whichever ones they want. The people that don't buy, the people that stream them the most weren't going to buy anyway. So you're not trying to tip somebody from stealing to buying because they weren't going to buy anyway. The biggest difference is you're putting people in a position where now they kind of got to choose which ones they want to get. Do they want to buy one every month? Because now, if you're PBC, you've asked for $75 in January. You gave everybody February off. You've asked for $75 in March, and now you're going to ask for $85 in April. And you're potentially going to ask for another $75 in June. That's another conversation. That being said, those people already have to kind of understand that this is the price of entertainment. This is the cost of entertainment. I don't have a big issue with a $10 difference. I do think that 75 is steep, but considering the marketplace, considering the current inflation and the way that things are going up, it's kind of par for the course, in my opinion. I think that the undercard is probably not going to live up to the pricing, and that's where you're going to get the most complaints. Because if you have either a couple of knockouts, like ugly knockouts on one side of fights, like you had Jesus Ramos beat up Joey Spencer, that wasn't pay-per-view worthy. That was not good entertainment. That was poorly matched. It feels like you paid for something that wasn't worth the value. Mm-hmm. If you have a lot of that on this card, and then the main event could be great, but if you have one or two fights like that on the undercard, nobody's going to be interested in spending that kind of money with PBC again, because they're going to feel like they've been taken advantage of. So I think it's kind of a one shot, one kill type of thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the best course of action would have been, which is something they chose not to do, which is how about we get the card together first? How about we announce the full card of people that are going to be, fighting on this card? Let's get the matchup set up, and then we talk about pricing. I was just Google searching while you were, giving your thoughts here. The most expensive pay-per-view that boxing has ever had from a price point standpoint here in America was Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. It was a $99.99 pay-per-view. That's the most that a fight has ever done. I think Mayweather-McGregor was right around this same price point. I think Mayweather-McGregor was $84.99 if I remember correctly. Yeah. And I think all of Mayweather's other fights were like $75, $70. I believe his major pay-per-view fights before that. When you talk about Berto, Victor Ortiz, Shane Mosley, those kind of fights, I believe all those fights were somewhere around $70. Yeah. But man, I mean, come on, like, I get that, in America, realistically and consistently, there's anywhere between 800,000 to 200,000, consistent, reliable boxing fans that buy pay-per-views when it's worth it. In all reality, when you put these price points on fights that, number one, aren't for any titles. Number two, we don't have a full card that's scheduled. Number three, it just seems like there's not going to be any, reliability that we're going to get a high quality undercard. For people like me or people like you or true boxing fans who, when we buy a fight, we're going to sit down and we're going to consume the entire card. We're going to sit down 4 hours before the main event and we're going to watch every fight on that card. Why? Because we paid our hard-earned money to sit here and watch this fight. We're not just going to be picking and choosing the last two fights or the last fight of the night and buy the fight midway through. No, that's not something that we're going to do. So if those are the people you're trying to get to entice to buy this fight, which, like you said, you have a very valid point, they're probably going to buy it no matter what you put it at, as long as it's not obscene. Right. It would behoove PBC and even DAZN to a certain extent, if they were going to do this fight, that they got the card announced first or jointly with this announcement.
Yeah, for sure. That's the biggest thing, the undercard not being announced. The anticipation of Ryan versus Tank, I think they're living off that, because I can tell you for sure, the people behind this fight are banking on casual fans blowing this thing out of the water. Just by their marketing strategy, by their lack of traditional promotion, they're definitely banking on that. I personally feel like if you're going to try it with two guys, I've said this before, this is the two. The popularity is there. So these two can make it happen. It's not a sustainable model. So as long as they understand this is a one shot, one kill, you do it one time, this shit ain't gonna work again. Unless you get another two high profile people. You can't take this same course with Spence and Crawford if you ever do that fight. So, there's just not the type of star power outside of these two guys in boxing right now. So we'll see how it goes. I do understand. I think that the number is a little high for the average viewer, but I think that that's not who they're targeting this particular time, and that's why they're taking this shot. And then we'll see what DAZN does with it as well.
Yeah, I had one question for you, man, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this before we close out with this topic. Do you think that because they are marketing to a younger audience, or because they're marketing to people that don't typically buy pay-per-views, and these people are a younger demographic, do you feel like the marketing is going to result in substantially more buys? Or do you think that these people, because they are younger, are going to have the means to go ahead and illegally get the fight anyway, even though they know, that this fight is well worth the price?
I think that's going to be a push. I think they're going to get about half of what they're expecting. If they expect 1 million casual younger people to buy, they're going to get about 500,000 of those. But that's still another 600,000 of hardcore boxing fans who are probably going to buy it anyway. So that still puts you right over 1 million. So I think it'll still work out on paper, even though from an analytics standpoint, it's a little bit of a failure because you're only getting half of the target audience that you're trying to draw in. But I think because they're so tech savvy, a lot more of them are going to steal the fight. But then I think that's going to add an additional audience that you normally wouldn't get that's going to actually buy the fight, because this is the Uber Eats, what's the little delivery services, the Uber, Lyft.
Yeah.
Them dudes can make that money in a day. Hey man, I'm trying to get this fight tonight. Let me go pick up some people real quick, and I get back to the house in front of the TV and get this fight after working for a couple hours, picking up and dropping folks off. So I think because you have people that have such quick access to money, I think that's going to kind of open up that specific targeted audience to be able to afford this fight in a day's work.
Yeah. And the one thing I will add to that too, man, I think because this is a fight that's going to be done, at least here in America, where the purchasers, the audience is going to have two avenues of consuming this fight. For those who already have a Showtime and a DAZN subscription, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure you're going to get a better deal buying this fight through your DAZN subscription, because I'm pretty sure they're probably going to price it at about $60, because their monthly subscription is $25 month to month if you do the month to month annual subscription with them. And I think if you have Showtime, which you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe people who have Showtime are still going to have to pay $85 on top of whatever their subscription price already is.
Yeah,
I think the better value there is going to be with DAZN.
Yeah, I tried to buy it yesterday and it won't let you yet. When you click the button, it just takes you to a splash screen, because I just wanted to verify the pricing and see where it would go, and it won't let you just yet, or maybe yesterday.
Talking about on Showtime?
Okay. I tried to go through and do it directly through Showtime, and I didn't have the option just yet to go forward. So, but now what I will say is that Showtime is likely, I already saw it. If you go to the Showtime website, you never signed up, you're going to get a free subscription. And usually the free subscription is for 30 days. They either do 7 days or 30 days. So the week of the fight, if you don't have Showtime, you can go in there, get you a free trial for 7 days, and then you could just pay $85 for the pay-per-view. If you go to DAZN, we'll need to see what their price point is going to be. But if you're on the plan where you've committed to a year, but you're still month to month, you'll pay $19.99. If you have the flex plan where you could pick up and drop the subscription, it's $25. So some people, it's a $5 difference, but you might save $5, and maybe they'll price the pay-per-view at like $40 on top of your subscription instead of $60, because they're just willing to take a smaller cut just to get people to be on their platform. Yeah. So, and that's a conversation obviously for another day, but just some, it's something I threw out there on Twitter. We don't know exactly how DAZN's going to manage it, because Showtime's going to take a percentage of whatever the pay-per-view buys are. If they say every sale, we're taking $40 of it, DAZN can say, okay, well, we're just going to tack on an extra 10. We're going to charge our people $50 and we'll just take a $10 profit. But we want those people using our platform because they're also going to subscribe to us to get access to the fight. So there's some other dynamics on the price point. To all the consumers out there, do what makes sense for you. To me, I don't make $1 off of PVC or DAZN. So wherever you buy it, don't matter to me. Just buy the fight and support boxing.
Last thing, man, too, I would add to that is ultimately, if you're a guy who's looking for value, right? If you're a guy who's looking for the best way to make the most of consuming the boxing you want to see, you want a 2-shot deal that's going to be an awesome deal, you probably should get DAZN this week, because in the next video that you guys are going to see on our channel, we're going to get to talk about Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin, which is the fight that's happening this weekend. You buy that 1 month, you may even get a discount on that Gervonta Davis Ryan Garcia fight, which could be a pretty good bang for your buck. AJ, Gervonta, Ryan, all in 1 month. It's a pretty good deal.
Definitely. Oh, and don't forget Virgil and Stanionis.
Virgil and Stanionis. How could I forget? You know why I forgot? Because I'm going to be at the fight. So there we go. Yeah.
That's right. All right, guys, this has been T. That's Q. This is the Mic Check podcast. Let them know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until the next time, peace out.
Peace.